Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. As others have mentioned, today is St Patrick's Day. It's also a century on from when the United Kingdom, in its first iteration as the United Kingdom and Ireland, ended and the Irish Free State was established. Now the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland stand on the brink as Scotland seeks its independence to make its way in the world and to end the dystopian fantasy of post-Brexit Britain and its pursuit of a new age of empire. As Charles Stewart Parnell said of Ireland, applies to Scotland. No man should have the right to fix the boundary of the march of a nation. No man has the right to say to his country, "Thus far shall thou go, and no further." Yet, that is what Scotland is being told. Despite support for independence being ever greater, and despite Scotland's democratically elected representatives demanding the right to hold a referendum. Instead, we're told it's no to IndyRef 2, and now and forevermore it will remain that way unless and until it's set by them on their conditions. That is simply unacceptable. Scotland cannot be subject to a British or even Boris veto. It's neither his or their right nor their prerogative. It's the democratic right of the Scottish people. And it's why we have to consider what options are taken. Section 30 has been rejected by the Prime Minister. A consultative referendum is to be boycotted by the opposition parties. It's for that reason that more and more people in Scotland see the need to make the Holyrood poll a plebiscite election. It can't be or won't be boycotted because of its nature. The vote on the list can be definitive for independence, and parties are signing up for that. It's simply not acceptable that Northern Ireland is entitled to a referendum, that the Irish Free State was established on a referendum, and yet Scotland is denied another referendum, despite carrying out its actions democratically and without violence. As Brexit Britain sails off into oblivion, it's for Scotland to gain its independence. There is a better way, and the people of Scotland are also beginning to recognise that the tenor and tone of the debate has changed. In 2014, and occasionally in some of these contributions here, we have heard the "Please don't go, Scotland, we love you." Equally, it's becoming clearer and clearer that it's not a desire to retain Scotland for Scotland's interests, it's a desire to retain Scotland for the interests of those who are the British establishment. That was made quite clear by the former Chancellor Exchequer George Osborne, who, when writing recently, wrote that the rest of the world, when he was commenting on Scottish independence, the rest of the world would instantly see that we were no longer a front-rank power or even in the second row. So the whole position put forward by the British government is not advancement of the interests of the Scottish people. It's the preservation of the interests of Britain as it stands, and indeed those who are currently doing very wealthy as the Chumocracy looks after its friends and indeed others. It's for that reason that the people of Scotland recognise that there is a better way, that the better way is to be an independent Scotland where you can care for your own people rather than provide for the private profits of the few. That has to be brought about. And if it can't be delivered by a referendum, then we have to make the coming election the plebiscite, because independence is the right of the Scottish people. It isn't subject to a veto from Britain or from a British Prime Minister. Thank you.
Now, I have to reduce the time limit to 3 minutes as we go to Wales. Jonathan Edwards.